Welcome to the latest podcast in a series from the Internationalist and the ANA. I'm Brendan Banaham, Managing Director of the Internationalist Group of Companies. We focus on the reinvention of marketing by connecting the people and ideas in international marketing through content, insights, thought leadership, community collaboration, and consulting. Today's podcast shares how people in our global community are not merely handling today's pandemic crisis, but helping us all to better navigate it. The ability to inspire people to be their best is valuable in difficult times, and no one does this better than marketers. I'll now turn the podcast over to Deborah Malone, founder of The Internationalist.
Thanks, Brendan, and welcome to another Internationalist Trendsetter show. Manos Spanos, Senior Vice President of Brand Marketing for the Yogurt Business Unit at Danone North America, believes that marketing needs to stand for positive change. If something is not doable, he says, innovate to make it doable. And while that sounds like a tall order, especially for these times, he's been able to demonstrate what happens when purpose and passion intersect in branding. Today, he talks about food sustainability and fighting food insecurity in America. Plus, he explains how the new Good Save yogurt brand is saving fruit that would otherwise go to landfills. This new product is part of Danone's Too Good brand with its one-to-one initiative that provides an equal amount of food to people in need for every purchase of Too Good yogurt. Manos also shares how true purpose allows consumers to vote with their dollars, which also works to grow a company's bottom line. Welcome to the show, Manos. We're so happy to have you.
Nice to be here. Always glad to talk to you. Always interesting discussions happening.
Oh, great. Well, look, let's start with some headlines, because Danone's been making headlines saving fruit that would otherwise go to landfills with your new Good Save yogurt brand. Can you just give us a little bit of background about how that came about?
Sure. One of the things that we tried really hard to do when we introduced Too Good, which is the mother brand of the Good Save initiative that you're talking about. When we introduced Too Good, we were pretty clear that we wanted to create a brand with true purpose, a true vote with your dollar type of a brand that people can feel very good about. Because of its taste, because of its nutritionals, because of the fact that it only has 2 grams of sugar, but at the same time, a brand that is about giving back to the community and with a very, very clear purpose of fighting food insecurity and hunger in America. And one of the ways that this could be done possible was through this Good Save initiative, which was an initiative around saving fruit that would otherwise go to waste and end up in landfills. By the way, these fruit are perfectly fine. They have nothing wrong with it. They're not ugly. They're not bad. They're not deformed or anything. It's just they're just overproduced. And what happens, which was shocking when I found out about it, is like you get, from one hand, you get millions of people being hungry, and from the other hand, you get all this food that just ends up in the landfills for no reason whatsoever. So, when the team got together, we decided that this was an opportunity for us to get engaged. It is very, very consistent with who we are as a brand, Too Good, and who we are as a company, Danone. And we partnered with Full Harvest, obviously, so that we can make this happen. And we did, and it is a huge success so far. I mean, it rolled out in Target to begin with, and now it's going in more retailers nationwide, and it's doing gangbusters. And it makes sense. It really makes sense. People want brands to be involved with the communities. People want brands that fit their lifestyle, do good, but also give back. So that was the idea behind Good Save.
No, and what I love about it is, and I think we've talked about this before, but I love kind of what I call the elegant simplicity of it. Not that it's a simple solution at all, but because it just solves 2 things so beautifully. And also, I mean, you also did this during COVID, where we know that there has been talk about food insecurity. It's just amazing. Now, you did mention that you are doing it in collaboration, because even I'm sure some of the simplest solutions just become so complex in terms of, internal things and food
Absolutely.
regulation. So, so you talked about full harvest. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, or maybe how hard it was to get this done?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, there's the reality of the matter is we sell yogurt. We don't have expertise in neither saving the planet, nor saving fruit from landfills, nor distribution networks, now not food banks. We sell yogurt. So it would be naive to think that we can do all of these things just by our hands, just by our internal network. So we had to find partners that we work with that are A, reputable, B, have the same belief system that we have, and C, have the resources and the scale to be able to A, secure the amount of product that we would need to make this happen, but also make sure that they would take care of the logistics on how this would happen. So that was the choice behind Full Harvest, and we work with also more organizations, and there's other initiatives that would love to talk about that we work with, and that is a way. The way forward for us is to do these partnerships, is to work with these organizations that have the know-how, have the willingness, have the resources. We help them with the resources, obviously, because there's always donations involved. There's always things that we can do as companies. So if we give them the tools, they have the know-how, then you get it done. I think that's a good model.
No, and in this case, I guess you're talking about a number of NGOs or nonprofits and so on.
Exactly.
So that's a wonderful kind of public-private partnership. There's so much. You've said so many interesting things, and I can't wait to talk more about them. But you also did mention other brands, and I know that you, in addition to obviously talking about this brand, the Good Save brand, you also started to talk a little bit about Too Good, which came out before. That has an interesting one-to-one initiative. Do you want to talk about that and maybe how they relate?
Yeah. And Good Save is just a sub-brand of Too Good. So it's one of the initiatives that Too Good. So as I said, Too Good is the mother brand. Too Good is the brand that we're trying to build a brand with purpose. And, once we saw the reaction on Good Save and how well it is received, then we started asking ourselves, is there more that we can do? Is there more that we can do in our effort to fight food insecurity in America? And, we did do some pretty extensive research to understand how big is the problem of food insecurity, which once you see, your jaw drops down the floor. Because
really?
The numbers are staggering. So basically, what is happening right now in America is that 1 in 6 Americans are facing food insecurity. That's in the United States of America, where we have 350 million population. 1 of 6 Americans have food insecurity. This is just incredible, and things have gotten obviously way worse with COVID and the situation that happens right now. And you've got nearly 1 in 5 mothers saying that their young kids do not have enough food to eat. So this is mind-boggling, and
it is.
It bothers me as a human being. Forget the business aspect of it. It bothers me as a human being. So, and it bothers our team. And we as Danone, we are a big corp. We are a public. We're the biggest big corp in the world, and in our DNA, it is ingrained to do business, but also help our communities. Right. So that's what we decided to do. So therefore, the initiative that we try to put together is an initiative where for every cup of Too Good that you're buying, we donate a cup of food of equal amount for somebody in need. We call it, we call this program one cup of food for 1 cup of yogurt. So and there is no asterisks in this activity. There is no maximum amount up to whatever dollars. There is no prerequisite. It's just every cup we sell, we donate a cup of food. And for us, that is, the smallest thing that we could do, but it makes a big difference because we sell a lot of yogurt. And for this initiative, we partnered again with some NGOs. We partnered with City Harvest, and we partnered with We Don't Waste, which is 2 other NGOs that are also tremendously helping us in our effort to make this a reality. They are the ones that are receiving the funds from us, from the sale of the yogurt, and then they're putting in action their plan which is to bring foods to those that are in need in food banks across America, in shelters, in everywhere else. We have already been able to sell over 30 million to donate over 30 million meals. Okay,
amazing.
And that's just great. And we're talking just 3-4 months in, and we haven't even spoken about this super publicly. We're just starting our campaign now. There's going to be extensive communication behind this initiative, and people are responding positively just by seeing it on the shelf. Just by seeing the fact that there is a brand that's doing good, that's using 1 cup of goodness for you, and then 1 cup to help another person in need. So we're really proud of the brand that we're building. We're building a brand that is truly about purpose. It's truly about giving back with no asterisks, with no catches. There is no minimums. There is no time limit. We will continue doing this as long as we can, like literally as long as we can. The more, people, you continue to buy millions and millions of cups of yogurt, we will donate millions and millions of cups of food. So that's a true brand with purpose. And guess what, Deb? It actually also works very good for the bottom line too, which is the other question that we always had, right? So could you make purpose brands actually be additive to the P&L of the company? Well, yes, you can. And we're proving this every day with Too Good. So despite of the fact that we are donating all this money, despite the fact that we are doing all this work, still the brand is additive to our portfolio. So yes, we're showing people that the two things can go together. You can have great, delicious food and nutritious food that at the same time gives back to the communities. So it's absolutely doable.
No, it's remarkable, and you said some very interesting things in there. I just couple of things. I want to follow up on a number of them, but you did talk about the fact that Danone is the world's largest B Corp, and I just know from doing some writing on the company, of course, that you've had such a long history of purpose. I mean, such a long history. Now, you did say it is part of your DNA, but I'm assuming because the company is so purpose-driven that it made it so much easier to do a program like this.
Yes and no.
Interesting.
Yes, it is easier because you don't have to convince people that doing good is good for business. Okay, that's in our DNA. We know it, and our management, subscribes to that, and it's very, very easy to convince people. It is not easy because, as you said in the very beginning of our discussion, the logistics of it are not easy. It's just not easy to find the right partners. It's just not easy to have the right scale. It's just not easy to convince everybody that, hey, this can be done. It can be effective. It will generate profit. It's just not easy. So it takes a group of people with tremendous passion, and our team has tremendous passion. The team that brought this together, the Too Good team, led by Serbi Martin and Angela Girst, they just have tremendous passion. They just don't take no for an answer. So when you don't take no for an answer, you're just gonna go for it, and they went for it, and we made it work. And the success of this, we'll know about it. Give it another 5-6 months. If anything like I see right now keeps happening, I mean, it's going to make a very big difference in this country. So.
No, that's extraordinary. You also talked about something that I found very interesting. And I think in some ways this is one of the marketer's dilemmas in terms of purpose. You're already saying that in 3 to 4 months, you're seeing the product fly off the shelf, and you really haven't done all that much yet to support it with either, I'm sure there's marketing, with communication. There's certainly marketing strategy there, but now is that a dilemma? Because, I think sometimes we face this issue where how can you truly be purposeful in marketing without seeming overly promotional? And I'm sure if anyone can solve this, it's you. But if people do wonder about it, and they did wonder about it through COVID too.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of things there. I wish I had the perfect answer. I don't have a perfect answer.
There is no
one or the other. Yeah. But I'll tell you the way we are thinking. If you find the right purpose, if you find the right cause, you're bound to have people follow and spread the word out for you. Mm-hmm. I'll use an example that has nothing to do with our industry. Tesla. They have zero marketing budget. But they've got all of their owners absolutely work as their paid influencers. It's like you own a Tesla car and all of a sudden you're a live advertisement for the company, and it works. They're the number one EV car. They're crushing it. They're the most valuable car maker in the world right now.
And they may even show a profit.
No, they're showing profit. I mean, the last couple of years they're showing profits too. So it's and that's with zero marketing. Now, it's an exaggeration that it's zero marketing because, of course, they have stores, right? Of course, they have salespeople. Of course, press
releases.
So there is marketing, but my point is, if you find the right cause, and if your product is truly designed in a way that it really is what people are looking for, people are going to talk about it. That's point one. Point two is you have this thing called the package, right? So it is a pretty big billboard inside a supermarket, and actually people do read that packages, do see packages. They do look at things, they do read things at the shelves. So that's a very big billboard that you absolutely need to make good use of. And then you start with marketing, and then you do the more traditional communication. Of course, we're doing PR. Of course, we're doing influencers. We just haven't started a TV campaign. It will happen sometime soon. But you're lighting something and you're waiting to see if it catches fire. If it starts catching fire, then you can throw some more fuel on it, and it will catch more fire, and so on and so forth. But you don't have to start with like a whole petrol box, and then you just light it. You see if it works. If it works, you put more, and then you put more, and then you put more. So that's kind of the approach here. And we prefer to to use as much money as we can for doing good rather than talking about doing good. Right? We need to use enough money in the talking, so that enough people know about it, so that they talk about it, so that we sell more and do more good. But this is not about an ego trip or us trying to advertise at doing good. We want to sell our brand. We don't and our brand sells itself right now. So.
No, and I think that one of the ways that you build authenticity is kind of doing that grassroots thing, because like your Tesla example, if consumers feel that this matters to them, then you've got every confirmation you need. I'm not saying it's not hard, and I see there's so many balances in there, in terms of wanting to sell more, to do more good, yet wanting to do good for. So it is all about balance. There's, while we're talking about marketing, I do want to. I'm going to quote you. Because you recently said at the ANA Masters of Marketing that marketing needs to stand for positive change. You said, if something is not doable, innovate to make it doable. So is that your advice to all marketers, or is that just your personal ethos? Because you are an amazingly passionate and active guy.
Both. That's both an advice and my personal ethos. And I wouldn't give it as an advice if A, I didn't believe it, and B, if I wasn't doing it myself. Ask any member of my team who is the most positive person that they know in the department. They'll probably point at me. But hey, reality is that marketers cannot be weighed down by everything that's happening around them. We have as big of a role as anybody else has in lifting people up, right? And we can lift people up with our work. We can lift people up with our ideas. We can lift people up with the products that we create. We can put a smile in people's faces with the advertisement that we have, or we can put a tear in people's eyes with the advertisement that we have. I mean, advertisement and marketing is about emotion, right?
Yes.
So we have a very big role to play to make positive emotions, especially when we are in an era that has so much negativity and doom and gloom. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be in La La Land. That just means that you have to make sure that you keep a positive spirit, that you show people the good things that are happening, and you emphasize on that. I mean, how much better was it when people completely spontaneously started clapping every night for the first line? They themselves felt so much better. But and that's what I mean, like lift people up when they are
Yes.
down. And then when we're faced with obstacles and seemingly the undoable things, I mean, this is where the marketing ingenuity comes in, right? You work with your cross-functional teams and you find solutions in difficult problems and you make it work and you launch those things out there and you make it happen. So that's what I would love us marketers to be doing. See things in their positive angle, and just don't take no for an answer. Go ahead and do it, innovate and communicate. Yeah. And things are going to get better.
And probably given all of the aspects of the corporation, marketing is the only one that can offer that level of emotion and so on. So no, I think you're right. I think it's tremendously, significant. But you also have now four new P's of marketing. So why don't you share them? And I think when people hear them, they'll probably know a lot more about you.
I hope nobody is completely bored about hearing for another 4 P's that are out there.
I know, but I think yours are particularly good.
This is things that are very close to my heart, and I think I've seen that they really work. So I'm all for people, I'm all for passion, I'm all for purpose, and I'm all for positivity. We talked about positivity. We talked a little bit about purpose, right? And I've tried to show to people that you can build purposeful brands and actually have a positive impact both in the community and in the bottom line of your company. Passion, unless you have passion, you cannot do that. And we talked about it a little bit before, right? That when we said, the team didn't take no for an answer. Yes, it was difficult to put these programs together, both the Good Save program and the 1-for-1 program. But it took people with passion. And then, of course, it starts with people, right? So you have to know who you're talking to. You have to know very well your audience. You have to know what is relevant for them. You have to talk to the right people, right? So you have to be very focused and very consumer-centric. If you're so consumer-centric, if you're centered around people and you're trying to deliver what they need with a lot of passion, and you create something that has purpose in its foundation, that whole positive thinking and that positive spirit will drive results. It's a virtuous circle that has not failed me so far in my career. So I'll continue doing it.
No, I think it's wonderful. That's why I think it's great that it's about you, but I think to share that is so important. So what are the biggest challenges now that are facing marketers in your mind? There
are challenges and there are opportunities. I think. I mean, the biggest challenge is volatility. Obviously, we don't know what's what's going to happen tomorrow morning, right? And we keep pushing the yardstick back on when we're going to have enough vaccines and all of those things that have happened, and the supply networks are pretty strained with everything that's going on. So there's volatility, and this volatility is a problem. So that's one of the challenges. The second challenge is that there is a lot of cautiousness in marketing spending right now. Obviously, everybody's very tight, but again, out of these come opportunity, because volatility should allow for marketers to be much more responsive, should allow for marketers to generate newer ideas faster, right? So that you can quickly adjust. And we've learned a lot to adjust over the last 9 months. Oh, for God's sakes, like who was working out of Zoom every day? And look at how everybody adjusted in record time. So there's an opportunity for marketers to adjust, to be more agile, to be faster. And then when you have the resource strain that we have right now, then you're forced to be more creative. You're forced to find the solutions that, guess what? They're going to stay there even when you are not so resource restrained. So if you find the ways to do things cheaper, more effectively, more efficiently, that stays with you even in the good times when you will have more money to do the things that you're planning to do. So again, out of the challenges, for me, I would like to also see the opportunities that exist for us as marketers.
Yeah, but I do think it takes a very special person to be able to do that. But it does, because it's not easy. It's just adding, another element of pressure and speed and so on. And some people can thrive with that, and others, find it crushing. So it is interesting. I just have a couple of questions before we go, because I know how valuable your time is. But you said something that I really loved at the beginning. A brand with true purpose enables you to vote with your dollars. And I know that for a long time, we've always looked at that balance between doing good and the bottom line. But I do think you expressed that so well, because not everyone who talks about doing good also puts in the dollar signs. So, you can't do good unless you do raise the money to do so. Do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I'll comment on that. It's very interesting. So back at that research that we did with millennials, one of the questions was, what has the greatest impact on society? And among millennials, a third of them said they're voting, right? Mm-hmm. The fact that they vote for the government. A third said community involvement, their involvement with community and them doing things. Mm-hmm. And a third said their purchase decisions. So and it's a third. Equal. So wow. There's an equal weight on the voting that you do for your government, on your personal action, and then on the way you spend your money with brands. And that comes to tell you that people are especially this millennial generation, is much more aware of the impact that they can have than we give them credit, right? And they are more willing to actually put themselves into action, get engaged, help at the community, and they actually are looking for brands that do the same thing with them, that have a purpose, and they try. And you know what? They're saying that, they're going to base their purchase decision based on that. Well, if you're true to what you do, then you're going to be on the positive, on the recipient side of those dollars that come from millennials. Now, the problem is when you're trying to fake it. And that's the toughest part. And sometimes we don't try to fake it because we're bad people, or it's just very difficult. Like if you have a brand that's established over 40, 50, 60 years that has nothing to do with any societal issue, and all of a sudden you decide that you want to stand for XYZ social cause, where did that come from? Like, it's very difficult. That's why it's more difficult with established brands to have a societal cause if it was not part of their DNA than it is to create a new brand that carries that torch, that is made from the beginning with that in mind, right? And that's why we went down the route of creating a new brand with Too Good.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point.
It's very difficult. I mean, but that's not to say that you cannot do it with existing brands. You probably can, but it has to take time. It's not like this thing where you decided this quarter you're gonna be fighting hunger, and then in for this quarter it's this, and then for next quarter is something else. You have to give it time. You have to give it 2, 3, 4 years of consistent investment behind the same idea. And there's companies that have done very successful, like Dove is another company that has done that for real beauty. But that was a campaign that has lasted, I don't know, probably not more a decade. So give it time, and it can happen. But it cannot be a fad. It has to be either something you create and it's part of your DNA, or it's something that you decide to make part of your DNA, but you invest over time and make it work.
And as wonderful, the Dove campaign is an excellent example. And even within that, they experimented with some things like packaging that didn't work. But that's okay. I mean, because it was strong enough that it could, it rebounded very quickly. It had a little, issues on social media, and then it was all over with. So,
Absolutely.
I think that you do have to think long term like that. Just another thing. So, is Danone doing this in other countries? Because it is the world's biggest yogurt maker.
I mean,
right?
I cannot count how many initiatives we're doing across the world. But yes, Too Good brand will become more than the US. It's it will go in other places across the world. And now they're gonna as they're putting the brand together there, of course they're gonna tackle local issues, right? So for us is food hunger. It doesn't have to be food hunger everywhere. There might be other societal things that you want to tie a brand with locally, and that's the beauty of creating a global brand that has a very specific thought, like the product is the same, the nutritional is the same, the purpose for doing good is the same, but then being locally flexible in identifying what is the most pressing things that you want to be tackling locally with your brand. So but it will absolutely go in other places.
No, that's wonderful to hear. And a final question.
Sure.
So what's ahead for you and for Danone?
More good, more positivity.
Right.
We as a company have committed down that path. We've already announced our commitment, for example, for Horizon Organic Milk, which is the biggest milk, organic milk in America, to be carbon positive by 2025, not carbon neutral, carbon positive by 2025. And that's a very huge commitment that we've made. Do we know how we're going to do it exactly? Not really, but we have the broad strokes, we have the passion, we have the purpose, we have the willingness, and we have the right people to go and do it. So we're going to go and do it. And there's more initiatives like this coming across multiple of our brands, and that's the way forward. And as for me personally, I just love being part of that journey and doing more as I can. I try to keep my team positive in these hard times, and we're trying to create to lift people with positive emotions, some of which you're going to see in the upcoming Super Bowl with our new Oikos Pro spot and launch. And we're going to follow up our success from last year with the Bubble Butt. And we have a new campaign that's coming up, and you're going to learn a whole lot about it next week. So
excellent.
Stay tuned for some more positivity during Super Bowl.
Oh, wonderful. And a lot more protein, right?
A lot more protein. Absolutely. 20 grams of it.
Well, you can't help but make everyone seem positive whenever you speak to them. And it's always a joy to talk to you. And these initiatives are really breakthrough, and they're so important. So thank you. And I hope you'll come back and talk about more.
Of course. Anytime.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Anytime.
Thank you, Manos.
Thank you.
And that concludes today's podcast. Thanks again for listening. For more information on The Internationalist, please go to our website, www.theinternationalist.com. By the way, there's a hyphen between the and internationalist. That's where you'll find more information on podcasts and interviews, as well as highlights of our various initiatives, including Marketing Makes a World of Difference, Internationalist Insights and Studies and Intelligence Briefs, awards and case studies and best practices, peer-to-peer marketing think tanks and forums, and the Internationalist Press. The ability to inspire people to be their best selves is valuable in difficult times. We feel very strongly about the fact that no one does this better than us.